day my mother died, I was swimming in the warm currents of the Atlantic Ocean, Buzzards Bay, Cape Cod, thousands of miles from where my mother lay dead of ovarian cancer in Groote Hospital, Cape Town, South Africa. I didn't know my mother was dying. All I knew was that in Boston, where I'd been living for the past 3 years, it was Labor Day weekend, and I was only worried that I'd go into labor before my mother got here as planned at the end of October. The strange thing was, the night before she died, I could hardly fall asleep. I kept tossing and turning. And it wasn't because I was in a strange bed in a rented cottage, no. No, it was something else. Something otherworldly. For when I finally did fall asleep, sometime early that morning, I had a dream. I was back home in Cape Town, South Africa, my birthplace, walking down Main Road, Sea Point, past an old movie house, the Odeon, where I'd seen my very first film when I was just 5 years old, all alone. It was a British movie called Too Late for Tears, about a little girl who was dying in the hospital. She was lying in the crib. I remember there was this beautiful nurse looking after her. She held the parents' hands in hers, and she said to the parents, "It's time now. You have to be ready to say goodbye." In my dream, I'm walking down the road, when all of a sudden 3 old women approach me. They beckon me to go with them across the road. They're dressed in long black robes like figures from an ancient Greek tragedy. They take me across the road, up the stairs in this building, to the room's stark white walls. They keep staring at me, the women. What do they want from me? They want something from me. They want my baby. No! No, you can't take my baby! And then I woke up. Couldn't fall asleep after that, so I just lay in the bed until morning came. And that morning, September 1st, I felt unusually calm and relaxed. I went down to the beach, down to the bay. It was low tide. I had to walk far into the bay until the water came up to my knees, and then further until it came up to my waist, and I kept on walking into the water until it came up to my neck. And then I stretched my arms out and let myself float. Me and my enormous belly, my pregnant belly, like some giant transparent jellyfish, floating, at one with the water, drifting, at peace. It was on the Tuesday after the long weekend that I came home. That was when I got the phone call from my younger sister, long distance from South Africa. She's calling me. She's asking me, "Where have you been? What have you been doing? We've been trying to get hold of you." And I tell her, "Well, don't worry. I'm sorry I never got hold of you, but we went down to this place called Cape Cod. It's a long weekend over here in America. They call it Labor Day weekend, but don't worry. I did not go into labor because this baby is obviously waiting for her granny to come and see her big born. By the way, where's Mom? I haven't spoken to Mom in ages. How is she? Where is she? Put her on the line." And that's when I hear my sister's voice saying, "I don't know how to tell you this, but Mom's dead." Mom's dead? You go away for a long weekend, you come back, your mother's dead? I didn't even know she was dying, let alone sick. All I knew was that my mother was playing Golda in the State Theatre production of Fiddle on the Roof. Golda. You couldn't imagine a more perfect Golda. My mother, she was the ultimate, quintessential Jewish mother. She didn't even have to speak to play Golda. She had all the Jews of Eastern Europe in one look of hers. One shrug. shows a week. She's up on stage, singing and dancing. Delight, delight, l'chaim, 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 delight, I. Not even her audiences knew she was dying. Not even her fellow actors knew she was dying. And when the doctors finally took her just 2 weeks after the show ended to the hospital and told her her time had come, she specifically told my father and my younger sister, shh, don't tell Naava. Why? Because I was 8 months pregnant and God forbid something could happen to the baby? Go figure. Maybe it was because she came from a strange world somewhere in Eastern Europe, a country called Poland. A world full of strange superstitions where you had to spit 3 times over your left shoulder against the evil eye. Poo, poo, poo. In case something bad should happen. Poo, poo, poo. And a lot of bad things did happen. You should know from such things. Poo, poo, poo. Superstitious? My mother? I was a little kid. I remember I was about 10 years old, and my sister was 8 years younger than me. She was just a baby. She was lying on the rug, and I was standing up, playing a game with her up on the sofa, jumping over her, jumping over her. My mother comes running in from the other side of the house, shouting at the top of her voice, Naava, Naava, what are you doing? Go back over her, go back over her. She won't grow. Well, what do you mean? You step over a person, they don't grow? Now it's my fault, I have a short sister. And then the first time I got my period, it happened to be my birthday. I'm downtown visiting my dad at his office with my mom, and I go to the bathroom, I come back upstairs, and I whisper to my mom, and I say, Mom, I don't know what's happening, but I'm bleeding down there. She gives me a look. She lifts her hand, she comes over to me, and she gives me a hit, a thrust, a chlamai across my face. And then she starts clapping and singing, Mazel tov, now you're a woman. And my dad, he gets up from his desk behind there, he comes over to me, hits me across the face, and the two of them are dancing and clapping, Mazel tov, she's a woman, she's a woman, she's a woman. And I'm standing there thinking to myself, I just got hit across the face by my parents. And they call this a celebration? Truth is, I should have expected silence. Bad things were always kept a secret, especially in our house. No mention about the past. What did they think? They could keep the pain of 6 million souls a secret from the world? From me, their firstborn? No, I could feel it as a child. Shadows lurking in the dark. Ghosts breathing in the night. Around me, under me. Mommy, Mommy, shh. The past, like a dreaded disease, to be shunned, to be shut up. They couldn't hide it from me. I sucked it in with my mother's milk. I breathed it in from the air, still singed from my father's burning rage, his commands, his orders. Finish the food, stand in the corner, kiss the hand that smacked you. I swallowed it all. I finished my food, I cleaned my plate. I sat in school, was such a good girl with my finger on my lip, my arms folded. I didn't ask any questions. Shh. The silence told me, shh, don't ask. Want to know the answers. But one day I did ask. I was in college, came back, found my mother sitting over there at her dressing table, her favorite spot. In her bedroom, she was playing solitaire, her favorite game, turning the cards over one by one, until everything worked out. Always had to have a happy ending. Mom, I asked her, what happened over there in Europe? How come you never talk about it? She stopped playing for a moment, looked up at me, and then went back to the cards. When you're older, Naava, I'll tell you when you're older. Well, Mom, I'm older. And where are you? My mother, the actress, played it alive, telling her jokes with a jab of a knife, always concerned what the people would say. Sit up and smile, wave her hair this way. Put in some lipstick, she'd shout at me. People are coming, people will see. How could a girl of age learn to be a mother, a brother, a whole family? But this little girl knew instinctively just what her mother needed from me, to be everything that she loved and she lost, whatever the cost. So I put on some makeup, sang pretty songs, said please and thank you, tried all the wrongs, had to be best, had to be first, for the woman who'd seen and suffered the worst. She wanted better, but I wanted more. We were there for each other in undeclared war. My mother, the bourgeois, played it wife, stuffing the fridge as she stepped out of strife. Food's in the oven, dinner at 6, dessert on a tray, always something to fix. Put on some lipstick, she'd shout at me. People are coming, what will they see? How can a girl of 15 dare to be off on her own, independent and free? But this teenage girl knew instinctively that her mother's tears meant stay with me, be my everything that I loved and I lost, whatever the cost. So I won the awards, got the first prize, didn't stay out too late, didn't tell any lies, shouldn't cause her to worry, shouldn't cause her to fret. This woman whose eyes were tinged with regret, she wanted better, but I wanted more, but we were there for each other. Yes, in undisguised war. Something went wrong, there'd be someone to blame. Don't argue, don't question, don't make a fight. You just make her cry and that wouldn't be right. Put on some lipstick, she'd shout at me. Your boyfriend's here, what will he see? How could a girl of 23 run away from this house, escape and flee? But this young woman knew instinctively just what her mother wanted for me, to have everything that she loved and she lost, whatever the cost. So I married a man of their choice, ignoring my heart, my own little voice. Now oceans between us, I'm pregnant at last. She's coming to see us, we'll heal the past. Now I want better, and I want more. Mother to mother, we'll be there for each other. Look at this. Who would have thought? The great Chayela Rosenthal, the wunderkind of the Vilna Ghetto, is now the Bridge champion of Secret Cape Town. Yeah, it's true. I just came back from the Bridge Club where I play in the afternoons with the ladies and the gentlemen. I think it's all nowadays. You don't know who's a lady, who's a gentleman. It's all mixed stuff. It's all in the cards. So here I come home. I come home from the Bridge Club. I'm a champion. I won another trophy. Feeling in a good mood. I come back home. You see this beautiful place? Here is my best spot in the whole house. My bedroom window. Always sunshine. Every afternoon the sun pours in. Oh, beautiful. Outside I can see, look, here, give a good look here. You can see the ocean from the window. Hey, beautiful. The big ships are passing by. And the neighbors' palm trees are waving in the wind. Hello. Yeah, so you see I come home in the afternoon. I sit here by my dresser
patience, please. He says, this is a brand new country, a brand new hotel. The towels will be arriving in 2 hours. Then he says to me, why don't you step out onto the balcony, put your hands out in front of you, give a little shake, a shuffle like this. It's so hot, they'll dry in a few minutes. Oh, let me tell you, was I happy I didn't take a bath. And then another time I'm standing in the Dizengoff Street, the main street, at the bus stop, and the woman, she comes running up to me and she says, Chayela Rosenthal, it's you, the actress. I saw you yesterday in the matinee performance. Yeah. I am so happy people are recognizing me in the streets. Famous. So I say, so tell me, really, how did you like it? She says, oh, please. Saw you yesterday. I couldn't sleep the whole night. I said, Taka, really? Such a good impression. She says, what are you talking? When I have a good sleep in the afternoon, I can't sleep awake the whole night. That's Israel for you. You see this one? This is me in New York. Yeah, the president's daughter. I am appearing in the Broadway. Ay, ay, ay. Beautiful, beautiful. With Jacob Jacobs. Who would believe Yiddish would make it to Broadway, yeah? This was my brother Lev. Look here. You see this picture? This is my daughter Naava, my firstborn. Oh, she was about 4 years old. Look, she's standing holding a ball, but she doesn't want to smile. She was a cesarean. They had to cut me open to pull her out. Look at this. You know, I remember when she was born, scheduled the doctor. All of a sudden, I'm ready to have the baby. I give her a push, my husband in the bed. I say, it's time. Ich talk to them to him. He falls off the bed, faints on the floor. Nobody to speak to. Now I have to call my neighbor, Solly. Solly, please pick me up. We need to go to the hospital now. He comes, he picks me up in an Auto Tranvel jalopy of a car. We go in the car. He takes me. It's a Catholic hospital. Hope Memorial. I look all around. All the nurses are dressed like penguins. And then they bring me to this room, and I look. Jesus is hanging on a piece of wood on a stick. I'm thinking to myself, what do nuns know about giving birth? And then they bring me this beautiful baby to hold into my arms. And the first thing I do, I count the fingers and the toes, to make sure everything is all right. And then I don't know why, but I started to cry. And the nurse, she says to me, why are you crying? You should be happy. You have a beautiful baby girl. What could I tell her? I'm crying because there is no one from my family to share in my joy. Look here. You see this one? This is me in Paris after the war. Oh, look how thin I was. I was playing cabaret in a place called Place Pigalle. All the famous people who used to come there, Danny Kaye, Dave Cash. Oh, beautiful. Art Buchwald even wrote an article about me in the New York paper. Yeah, you know, it was in Paris that a woman named Sarah Sylvia found me. Sarah was an Altishke Boba, an old Boba with a big bun on the head, but always a big smile. Beautiful smile on the face. Big freckles, beautiful smile. Sarah wanted me to come with to South Africa to play Yiddish theater, Jewish theater. Africa? Jews in Africa? I thought Africa was a jungle. No, said Sarah. It's a beautiful place. Everywhere you look, it's always full with gardens with flowers, plenty of sunshine, lots of Jews from the old country. They speak Yiddish. They love you. Come and join our theater. You know, reminded me when she was telling me about South Africa with the gardens, with the flowers. There was a time when I was appearing in the displaced persons camps in Europe after the war. And I'm giving a concert, and all of a sudden, I see a group of boys is coming towards me, their arms filled with branches with flowers. Imagine, they went specially outside to take from the trees the branches, and with the blossoms, I should have flowers. From nothing, they made something. You know, when I was in Paris already, I had a big contract to sign with a big name in America. A contract to sign for 5 years from my life. Shit. I didn't like complicated contracts. I liked Sarah. She had a nice smile. So I came with Sarah Sylvia on a big boat across the Atlantic Ocean. And I found me a beautiful new world. A little bit of paradise. After all I've been through, I deserve a little paradise, no? So I'm telling you, I come home from the bridge club. I am the champion. I brought home another trophy. I'm feeling in a good mood. I come here, I sit down, I have my little glace of latte, my tea with prunes to make sweet. I sit down and I play my favorite game, solitaire. Don't tell anybody, but if the cards don't fall so well, you know, I cheat a little. I like things should work out. And all of a sudden, my daughter, my firstborn Naava, she comes into the room and she asks me, completely out of the blue, she says to me, what happened over there? She's asking me about what happened over there in Europe. I mean, here I am, I'm looking for a black queen to put on top of the red king. She asks me such a question. Honey, here I am, the bridge champion of Seapoint Cape Town. I can tell you who played what to whom at the bridge game. But so help me God, when it comes time to telling my own daughter about my past, I don't have the words. How could I utter such things too ugly to believe? The dreaded sights they made us witness, the nights that never leave. How to explain the never-ending train of memories of loved ones that they took away? Must I relive the cries, the silence, shame, and fear, and tell the story that no one wants to hear? How to recount the drops of precious blood they spilled, the bed without a grave, the hole that's never filled? How to explain the never-ending pain of sounds that stain your ears forever, years they took away? No words could say. Must I relive the cries, the silence, shame, and fear? No. No. Where is the story? This daughter needs to hear. By the time I came back from that long weekend on the Tuesday, my mother was already dead and buried. Not even a chance to say goodbye. 1 month later, I gave birth to my first child, a beautiful baby girl whom I named after my mother, just as I had been named after my mother's father and my father's mother, in memoriam, forever in memoriam. And it was a whole year later that I finally went back to South Africa for the unveiling of my mother's tombstone. Strange to go back home, where I left all of my memories after being away for a while and not have my mother there. I mean, everything was the same, but everything was different.
sun still shone through the bedroom window. Dressing table was still there with the pictures under the glass. Her clothes were still hanging in the closet. Her medicine still in that medicine cabinet, all those little pills. My father hadn't touched a thing. He had waited for me to come back to decide what to keep, what to give away, what to take back. And it was only the day before I had to go back to America that I finally ventured down into the cellar where we kept everything. And I mean everything. Big garbage bags with little white mothballs, full of my mother's old clothes, my old clothes, which then became my sister's old clothes, and my father's old clothes. Actually, my father used to love to wear his old clothes. Cardboard boxes were there in the basement, in the cellar, filled with second-hand books that my father used to buy for me opposite the city hall, and he used to read those second-hand books to me. And all those magazines and newspapers in different languages, broken beach chairs, old newspapers and magazines and cigar boxes, old umbrellas that they used to keep, all kinds of stuff hoarded and stored in the cellar, because in our family, you never threw away anything. Let me tell you about the cellar. It was dark and dank and musty smelling, like a cave, because the house was built on this rock. You had to keep your head bent low before you could get into the cellar. And I was always petrified as a kid, because it was dark in there. And as a kid, I had to switch the light on way on the other side, and I was sure that there were ghosts, skeletons lying on the wooden benches in there, on the shelves, just waiting to grab my hand before I found the light switch and never let go. But this time it was different. I found the light switch like that. I walked into this cave-like cellar and looked at all the old things lying there, the boxes with the yellow papers, the suitcases, the big garbage bags, and suddenly I wanted to take it all back with me. I needed something to hold on to from my mother's, something physical. You know, you can cut the umbilical cord at birth, but at death, the body remembers being connected. So I just randomly chose a couple of boxes, a garbage bag or two, a suitcase, and what did I do? I brought it all back to America to store down in my basement, like some buried treasure, just as my mother had done before me. Well, the years go by. Now I have 3 children, my small contribution to make up for the 6 million. And I'm finally downstairs in my basement cleaning up, looking for something or other, and I come across the suitcase. I mean, I had brought all of the stuff back with me from South Africa and stored it in there, but I had never looked at it. I was a new mother in a new country, making a new life for myself, and all of a sudden I see the suitcase and I smell the familiar, musty cellar smell. Flashback. I'm 3 years old. I'm in the old apartment, and I'm calling for my mother. Mommy, Mommy, and she doesn't answer me, and I'm looking in all the different rooms, and I can't find her, and I say, Mommy, Mommy, but she still doesn't answer me, and then finally, I find her, I open this door, and there she is. She's sitting in the dark, on a rug, photographs are spread all around her, and I'm so happy to find her. I run over and I say, Mommy, Mommy, but she slaps my hand and pushes me away and says, no, don't touch. I open the suitcase and I find all of these things. Old programs, music sheets, reviews, newspaper articles, scrapbooks with photographs, things that I've never seen before. In all different languages, from all different countries. And then I find this book. It's handwritten Yiddish. Looks like my mother's handwriting. Up at the top I can see a name. lay Rosenthal. That was my mother's brother. And down at the bottom I see a date, 1946. My mother must have written this after the war. It's a list of songs, carefully numbered. Susie, ich denke heim, ihr Leben ewig, Vilna, Ghetto. These are all the songs that my uncle wrote in the ghetto. My uncle, the one whose face peered at me from a tiny grey photograph no bigger than a postage stamp that my mother kept under the glass of the dressing table. Once, a long time ago, I remember asking my mother, I said, Mommy, who is that man? She gave me a faraway look and said, that was my brother Lev. He was a poet. The Nazis killed him one day before liberation. And then she never spoke about him again. And now, after all these years, I find my uncle in my basement, in this book, in his songs. Ein Mensch bist jung, ist größt dein Schwung, dann jogst du sich noch Glück. Verlost, vergesst dein Heim, dein Nest. Die Zeit kommt nicht zurück. When you are young, your hopes are high. Filled with desire, you burn. You leave the nest and learn to fly, only to find you can't return. Suddenly,
paper that meant we had permission to stay inside, to work inside, to boost the people's morale. Yeah. It was a good thing, yeah. But no, for other people in the ghetto, there were big objections, big arguments, people walking up and down the streets, smearing posters on the walls.
Auf a baseline spielt man nicht kein Theater. On a cemetery, you don't play theater.
You should have heard what my brother Leib had to say. Ah! Those idiots, those monsters, don't pay them any attention. They don't know. When you don't have theater, that's when you die. My brother was always right. My brother Leib, at the age of 14, he was already a poet. He had a book of poems published, yeah. And then already he had a group. He was with the Young Vilna literary group, a great writer. He had a big hit on the radio, beautiful songs that he was writing. And then he also used to be with a group called Mighty. They used to do marionetten, spinner, puppet shows, yeah. And he let me do the voices for the puppets because he knew how much I loved theater, because from a little girl I was always singing and dancing, putting funny faces, making funny voices. He knew how much I loved theater. To me, theater was my life. He was right. Maestro, please. I love theater. It's in my soul. There's nothing greater than playing a role. I'll make you laugh and cry with every look, with every sigh. I love theater. It is my life. Just give me any part. I'll make it mine. As long as I'm the star and I can shine. I love theater. It has romance. What can be greater than song and dance? My troubles all fade away when the musician starts to play. Excuse me. Enough. Thank you very much. She thinks she's the star. I'm the star. I love theater. It is my life. When the director shouts out, places, please. My heart starts racing, trading places with my knees. And then the lights go on. I am back where I belong. I love theater. It is my life. Let me tell you about the feeling and excitement of your steaming. When the curtain starts to rise, when the surprise your head is reeling, when the lights are repeating as your heart is fast beating, when you're waking through the night of blood, step into the light you wonder, then like a bride you enter. Enter! Now you stride to the center, where your audience awaits you in the darkness which creates you. First there's silence, then applause, then bravos, and then encores, and then you know they're yours, they're yours. I love theater. It's all pretend, you make reality, and make it bend, oi, daily, and hold your dull routine, for up on stage you are the queen. I love theater. It is my life. Yeah, such songs my brother would write for me. Songs of hope, courage, nostalgia. My brother with a couple of words in a rhyme, he could make you laugh and cry in the same moment. Yeah. My brother Leib. You know, when I was just 16, Leib wrote for me a special song to sing for the folk song competition. Yeah, there was a big folk song competition. The winner was going to go to Moscow. From all the Jews in Lithuania, they chose me, little Chayela Rosenthal, to represent Vilna at the folk song competition in Moscow. Oh, yeah, I was so excited. I was going to sing Leib's song. He was going to come with as my chaperone. Mama made me a beautiful dress with flowers, pretty apron. But exactly that same day that we were supposed to leave for Moscow, concert, 1842, my big debut. I didn't come out in a pretty dress singing a happy song, no. I was singing a song that my brother wrote, especially about life in the ghetto, about a little boy, a Jewish boy, an orphan. They took away his parents, now they're killed, now he's left all alone. We used to call such a boy Yisroelek. Oy, this poor little boy. Now he's an orphan. What must he do to stay alive? He had to become a thief, a gunner, a smuggler, doing business in the black market. Oh, but this little boy, he was always very good. He was running around, hiding, doing business under the fences, in the sewers, under the ground, in the streets, doing business under the table. Oh, he was always running, hiding, with his hand in your pocket. Hand in the pocket? Israel. Hey, if you couldn't find him, he would find you. Here you are. What, you laughing at him? He's just a kid. Ben, let me tell you something. Nobody remained a kid in the ghetto. No. But Israel, small was good. Good for business. Yeah. He could get away with things. Yeah, he could get you anything you want. You know why? He knew which strings to pull. And he'd get anything for you for a small price, of course. Nu koivcha papyrusen, koivcha sacharim, geboren is ein schoiner billig Welt. A Leben für a Groschen, a Brutto mit Verdienst, von Ghetto-Händler hat doch gehört. My name's Israelik, I'm the kid from Ghetto. My name's Israelik, I'm tough and I am brave. Once I had parents, now they're gone forever. I'm broke, but still I wanna joke and sing a song. My name's Israelik, I'm the kid from Ghetto. My name's Israelik, I'm tough and I am strong. But when no one's looking, when no one's near, I hide in the corner and wipe away a tear. My name's Israelik, I'm the kid from Ghetto. My name's Israelik, I have a little song. Why remember heartache? We talk about your sorrow. No, better don't talk. So much better to dream about tomorrow. Buy for me, Sacharim, papyrus like that. Will you buy for me? Come buy for me. Just dream about tomorrow. All of these papers, scraps of newspaper articles, this book, things that my mother kept hidden, that I never knew about. Press release from Charles Malamuth, Director, European PR, Joint Distribution Committee, Wrocław, Poland, 1948. No matter how dramatic the roles actress Chayela Rosenthal is called on to play, it is doubtful that any author's imagination will be able to outstrip the scenes which this young star of the Lower Silesia Jewish theatre has played in real life. For she lived in the Vilna Ghetto and in concentration camps, and she can recall only too well that cold morning when she and thousands of other Jewish women were lined up in narrow columns by German soldiers on a beach in the Baltic Sea. The women were weary, haggard, worn, showing the effects of concentration camp life. The soldiers were irritable, obviously nervous, hurrying about and every once in a while looking anxiously to the east. The women had not long to wait. March them into the sea,
German commanders. Some tried to break through the lines of the soldiers. They were shot down slowly, relentlessly, using bayonet and rifle, but the soldiers drove the women into the water. Soon, those in the front lines were up to their waists, up to their necks in water, but they could not turn back. The back lines pressed them forward to the sea, pressed them forward. Hundreds were drowned, fighting, screaming. Death seemed sure for the others also when in the east a Red Army tank appeared. The German lines broke and the soldiers ran. The remaining women were saved. Chayela among them. I never knew. My own mother, I never knew. I was a child. I didn't know. I saw what I could see. Nothing to show when all you know is what you're meant to see. I wasn't there for anyone but me. Now I am older, I see much more. I see what I could never see before. Growing up, I had this awful shame. Thought my parents were the ones to blame. I was so embarrassed when they called my name out loud across the street. So I ignored them, kept my head down, kept on walking, wished that they would stop their talking, broken English, whispers in a foreign tongue. I was so young. Mom, I'm so sorry for everything. Child, she needs to know what I did not know then. Something to show before I go. The past is present then. There is someone who's going to follow after me. Now I am older, I hear much more. I hear the words I never heard.
What is to say? I survived. I was lucky. Maybe Mama was upstairs pulling a few strings. When it came the end of the ghetto, everything was a big chaos. People shouting, screaming, go here, making arrangements here, go meet at the corner, we will take you away, no, here, go run into the forest, the partisans, join the partisans. And then we couldn't find an ape anywhere. And they came, they took us to this place for selection. And I'm holding Mama's hand tight. And then I see the German soldiers are standing around with the guns are pointed and the dogs are barking. And now the SS man is standing, pointing to the left, to the right. And I'm holding Mama's hand tight. And now he's pointing to the left, to the right. Now he looks at Mama and he points to the left. And Mama, she shouts at me now. She says, Chayela, go, leave me, go quickly. Go to the right, go young. I was pretty. And then I was bold. My beautiful thick black hair, they shaved it all off. I remember Mama and I, we used to sit on my bed at home, and she used to brush my hair and sing me a lullaby. You know, I used to sing that same song for my daughter Naava when she was just a child. My brother Lev was right. Why remember how take? Why talk about your sorrow? Besser als man redet nicht, better don't talk. I sang. I survived. That's it.
When I opened the suitcase for the first time, all the ghosts that had been shut up inside were suddenly released into the atmosphere. They flew about me. I could feel their presence as never before, the grandparents that I never had and longed to have, the uncle that I never knew and wished I'd known, the mother that I thought I knew and clearly didn't know. They started whispering to me, tapping me on the shoulder. Naava, Naava, remember my songs, Naava. Tell my jokes, Naava. Remember, Naava, we were here, Naava. We were here. And still to this day, they're pestering me. They're sending me to all kinds of places, sending me people from all different countries to remind me, to remember, to remind you, to remember. They sent me a professor from Washington University who in the Vilnius archives found an original poster that from the ghetto concert that my uncle had written, a musical, Pesha von Resha. Pesha von Resha, starring Chayela Rosenthal, text and music by Lev Rosenthal. He sent a color photograph to me. And then somebody else from the Holocaust Museum sent me a book published in Germany with songs that my uncle had written, songs that are still sung today in Germany. Can you imagine? And then these are the voices. They weren't quit. They're still here. They're whispering in my ear. And then somebody who knew the project that I was doing in Boston, she told me about her friend's mother who came from Vilna, and I should be sure to meet her. So I arranged to meet her when she came up for the high holidays, the Jewish holidays, and her name was Adela Jockelson. I said to her, I'm Naava, and my mother was Chayela Rosenthal. Chayela Rosenthal! did Mrs. Jockelson do? She quickly grabbed her youngest sister's hand, made a quick dash to hide in a nearby barracks. She was brave. She was lucky. My uncle? The SS had taken him with the first group of men, marched them to a nearby forest, ordered them to get a group of wood pieces, logs together, and they built a platform of wood. Then they took the next group of men, marched them to the same forest, ordered them to lie down on top of that wood. Then more wood was stacked on top of that group of men, more wood, more men, more wood, until finally the last group of men was piled on top of that wood, and then they shot them and burned them. That is what happened to my Uncle Larry, the poet, the writer of such beautiful songs, including the song Mir Leben ewig, mir seinen da. We live forever. We still are here.
Here I am, 1946, after the war. Yeah. Still in Poland, in a little town called Jelenia Góra. After the war, I have been acting in the State Jewish Theater. All the great actors and directors have come out of Russia to work with us. We are performing all over the displaced persons camps. Yeah, my luck, my muzzle. After the war, I began my acting career in Yiddish theater. But I'm happy. I'm acting. Not only acting, in those days we're doing everything. We're making the scenery, we're making the costumes, we're putting on the makeup, we're playing the piano, we're putting the curtains, we're sending the tickets out, we're putting the people in, we're doing everything. And all the great plays we're doing in Yiddish. Yeah, Shalom Aleichem, Gordon, Pinsker, Chekhov, Molière. Oh, you didn't know Molière was Jewish? But of course, he wrote the great play, The Schnorrer, The Miser. Only kidding. My favorite part to play was this young farm girl, Zina, she was called, in Hirschbein's Green Fields. I am playing this beautiful farm girl who is flirting with the scholar, who is too shy to even put his eyes on me, but I am feeling happy again because my hair is growing back. I can wear it in 2 long braids, yeah. You know, Mama used to say, Shem dat man sein, Mazel dat man haben. You got to be pretty. No, you got to be lucky. My luck. Who should be touring the DP camps exactly the same time that I'm performing in the DP camps, the displaced persons camps? Molly Pickard, the star of the Great American Yiddish Stage. She comes backstage to see me and she says to me, Chayela, you're wonderful. You're marvelous. You remind me of me. And then she says, but you must get out of Poland. It is a cemetery for the Jews. And I say, I would like to. This is exactly what I do, but it's impossible now. The communists are in, the borders, people are looking, we can't get visas. She says, I will see what I can do. I have a friend in America. Perhaps he can help. I go back home. I go back to Jelenia Góra and I tell my husband, Ishke, guess who I met? boxes of ammunition flying over Poland. A little too late. But we arrive in Warsaw. We meet the big Mr. Hurok with the fedora hat and the cigar. He puts us up in a beautiful hotel. A beautiful hotel. The only hotel still standing in Warsaw. Everything else is in ruins, but this hotel, oh, beautiful. The chandeliers, the curtains, the beautiful furniture, the rugs, the chairs. Oh, the chairs. Reminds me a story. You know Manya Mankiewicz, my friend? Oh, you don't want to know Manya. Manya is the queen of kvetches. Always complaining, this Manya. She was telling me a story when she was in France. She was on a walking tour of all the castles. So she's walking. She gets tired. She sits down on one of the chairs. But the guy, he gets all crazy. He comes over and he says, Madame, you cannot sit there. Get out of that chair. You cannot sit there. That chair belongs to Louis XIV. But Manya, she just sits like a queen. She says, please, I'm tired. What's the big hullabaloo? When Louis comes back, I'll give him his chair. That's not it. So here we are in Warsaw. In this beautiful hotel, Mr. Hurok gives us a beautiful dinner. He takes us to the opera. And the next morning is my audition. Where do they take me? A cathedral, half in the ruins. This is where I must sing. I give my music to the man playing the organ, and I stand in the middle of this cathedral in the ruins, and I sing my brother's songs, my Yiddish songs. And the big Mr. Hurok with the fedora hat, he takes out a hanky from his pocket, and he wipes his eyes. That was my audition. I thought for sure Mr. Hurok would forget about me, claim a little Chayela Rosenthal stuck in Eastern Europe somewhere. But no. Several months go by, another telegram arrives from Saul Hurok. Have arranged concert for Chayela Rosenthal. Stop. With Agent Leonido. Stop. In Paris, France. Stop. Ticket and visa to follow. Don't stop. I'm so excited. Now my husband Ishke, he says to me, Chayela, you happy? You got what you wanted. And I say, what did I want? He says, we're leaving Poland for good. And I say, for good? For better. And then he says to me, very clever man, he says, but we must be careful. We must only take one small suitcase each. The Soviets shouldn't, realize that we are traveling away and leaving the country. One small suitcase each. They shouldn't stop us at the border. One small suitcase each. Mama, what to take? What to take with us? What to pack? What to give away? You see? This is the story of Jews. When things don't go so so good in the country, what do? We pack. Pack sich rein, wirklich, every Francis and the Lieder, was man sich da pack sich rein, pack your bags. It's all too familiar a song for us Jews. Pack your bags, yeah. So when I finish packing my bag, I say to Ishke, Ishke, we finished, sit down. This is what Mama made us do every time we leave the house. First you sit down, then you say with a mazel show, may good luck be with us, and then you step out onto the right foot, always on the right foot, and once you start walking, you never go back. No matter what you leave behind, you never go back. We packed a little suitcase with all that we possess. Some papers, photographs, porcelain dolls, my yellow dress. We packed it full of things we thought we home to remind us. All those special things we thought we had to leave behind us. Oh, it's heavy. How could one small suitcase be so heavy?
sighs, all those silences, all those things that she couldn't put into words. I think I understand now why she had to lock it away in a suitcase, store it down in a basement, in a land full of sunshine, far away from that old, cold world of poo-poo-poo. After all, she was a new immigrant, in a new country, speaking a new language, living amongst foreigners, strangers. Herself a stranger, no more than a child, who never really had a childhood. An immigrant, having to deal with a new baby, a cesarean. I was born from a scar. No, that's not true. That's not right. No, I was born from a star. Mom, you were a star. You came back from the dead. And me, look at me. I'm still talking to the dead. But I can't be like her. Spitting over my left shoulder, stepping out onto my right foot, putting on the makeup, smiling for the people, ignoring the cancer, keeping the silence, hiding the stories, avoiding the void. I can't be like her. I need to talk.
Talk, schmuck, enough talking already. These poor people want to go home. Talk. All this talking. Besides, I'm the Jewish mother. I get the last word. I want the anchor. Oh, it reminds me, every time I say the word anchor, I remember Manya Mankiewicz, my luck, my muscle. I'm giving a concert in Atlantic City. I'm in America. Who should be sitting pooped right in front of my face in the front row? Manya, sitting with that face of hers. She had so many facelifts, she can't even smile anymore. I don't care about her. I am going to give my concert. I give my beautiful singing, all the songs. Everybody gives a big applause. So I do my finale, beautiful applause, and then they're shouting for encore. Maria's standing up, shouting encore. I sing it again. And I see she's still standing, shouting encore, waving the finger at me. And I say, ladies and gentlemen, really, I must go. It's time, it's finished already. Thank you so much, a beautiful audience. Maria's still standing, shouting encore, sing it again and again and again until you get it right. So you see, here I am. I'm still singing.
No. Actually, it's me. I'm the one singing. I'm the one left singing my mother's songs.
Liebe Freund, mein Name ist Chayela Rosenthal. Ich war daheim zu verbringen mit mir. Zu freuen sich mit der Musterhom und zu verwohnen sich dort, was es ist gewesen. Und wer kann besser verwohnen, was es ist gewesen, wie die alteste jüdische Mama, welche sagt. Bonjour! Und der euch wird gerne fahren stehen. Ich weiß nicht. Außer du, wir haben so. Jeder sagt, du verstehst nicht, was verstehst.
Mom? Are you listening? Uncle Abe, this one's for you. Wir leben, es brennt na Welt. Wir leben, und a groschen Geld. Und auf so Bukarisch, die an der Sonne, was wir uns von schwarzen